The shell commands window is something that you can use when you're writing action keyframes or writing to an external program or using functions such as data pool that you need a certain language of. And the shell commands window is always running in the background of VizArtist whenever you use the program. To access it, you just come up to the little show commands button and turn it on. When you turn it on, it's going to bring up this little window and you can work within VizArtist with this window up. So what happens here is that anytime we do anything within VizArtist, it's going to process a command. So for instance, when I drag an object down here, such as this cube, you can see how it processed some commands there. And if I click on the transformation axis to go into the editor and click the position just one time, it issued some more commands. So we can actually write within this window to process commands itself. So first, to do this, I'm going to delete this cube and let's go grab a cylinder and we're going to drag this down and work with it within the shell commands window. Now, first thing that I'm going to do is rename this cylinder to can, let's say, and that's going to be the name of this container. And then I'm going to go into my control tab up here, and in my controls channel, I'm going to drag my can up into there, and I'm going to give it another name, and I'm going to hit OK. Now, when I click on this can, you can see that I also have this location here. It gives us a number 2037. Viz has created an identification for this container, and its number is 2037. So we'll come back to that and use it later. Now I'm going to click on my show commands window again to bring it up. And like I said, we can type right within this window here. So as we type in this window here, we'll break it down and tell you exactly what's going on. And whenever you write within this shell commands window, first thing that we need to do is type in, and that's going to send the main command. Next, within this shell window, we need to tell it where we're working. And this is the main scene, so which stands for this particular scene that we have open at the moment. Next, I want to tell it where to go. So we're going to go to the tree. And we're going to type in asterisk. Now I need to tell it what to access, and we want to access that particular container called can within the tree. So whenever we're dealing with a container name, we want to put a $sign on there. I'm going to type in can. Next, we need to tell it what do we want it to work with, or what do we want it to do. So I want to position it, and the position is in the transformation editor. So I'm going to type in here transformation. Next, I need to tell it exactly what I wanted to do. So now I wanted to move the position. So I'm going to type in position set, and I'm going to give it 3 variables, one for the X, one for the Y, one for the Z. And I just typed in some random numbers there. When I hit enter, you can see how it moved the position of that cylinder. So let's do it once more, and this time we'll do something with the scaling. So again, we're going to start by typing in send, and we're going to say main underscore scene. And again, we want to go to the tree. This time, same thing. We're going to the can container. So we'll type in $, can, asterisk, transformation again. And since we want to scale it, we're going to say scaling set 3 for the X, 4 for the Y, and 5 for the Z. When I do that, you can see how it scales this up. I want to reset this back to the default size that we were working with, but I don't want to retype everything. So I'm going to come up into my shell commands at the top bar here. I'm going to right click on here and we're going to say edit, and then we're going to say mark, and we're going to come down here and we're going to highlight this area, and I'm going to come back up here to edit, say copy. Now it places the cursor down here. So again, I'm going to come up to the top, I'm going to right click, we're going to go to edit, and this time we're going to hit paste, and I'm going to reset all of these X, Y, and Z numbers back to 1, and our container or cylinder is back to its default size. Now what's more, if we wanted to use a little different language or a variation in this, we can. It provides us some options to do that. So this time we're going to type in send, and we're going to say main scene again. Since we're working within this scene, again, we're going to go to the tree, and this time instead of writing $can, we can also say this is at can, since that's the name. And again, transformation. This time we'll go to position again, so let's type position set, and let's just give it some random numbers here. And again, we did that. So we used at can, $can. Now we could also replace this number 2037 right where this at can or this $can is too. It could use that variation of the language as well. Let's go one step further and let's say we have a material on here. So I'm going to drag a material down onto my container. I'm going to bring up my shell commands window again. And let's say we wanted to change the color of this material through this shell commands window. Again, it would be the same process. So we're going to type in send, then we'll go to main scene, asterisk tree, and we're going to go to the can container again. So I'm going to type in $can. Since we want to change the material, the language here is material. And since we know that we have 4 different variables of the material that we can change, such as the diffuse, the specular. So I'm going to tell it to change the diffuse color. I'm going to say diffuse set, and now I'm just going to give it 3 random values for the RGB value, and when I hit return, and it changes the color. So let's get rid of this white color. We'll make it blue again if we want to use a color on it. A couple other options that we can use here. So for instance, if we wanted to change the height of this cylinder as well, I'm just going to move this shell commands window over. I'm going to click on my cylinder. So if I wanted to change the height of this cylinder, within the cylinder itself, we have these variables such as height, diameter, rotation. So I can access any of these through the shell commands too. And it's the same process. So we'll come into our shell commands and start typing. And again, we'll start with send, and we'll go main underscore scene. This time we want to go to the tree again and the can. So I want to type in $can. This time we want to change the height of the cylinder specifically. So we're going to say geom height. I'm going to type in height here and type set. And now I can just say how high do I want it. I want to go to 300. And when I hit return, it takes that height to 300. Now, how did I know that it was height was the right word since it was small case? Well, anytime we have this shell commands window open, we can come in here and click on anything. And when we click on anything, it gives us that option. So here it says diameter. So that means this is the diameter. When we come over to this window and change the diameter, that's exactly what it's changing, and that's the language that it's using. Now, if we have a function on it, so let's go back and grab a alpha function, and we're going to drag this down onto it. And again, we're going to change this by using our shell commands here. So I'm just going to find the end of the line here. I'm going to hit return a couple of times so we can see what we're doing. Again, I'm going to start the command here by typing send. Then we're going to go to main underscore scene, asterisk tree. We'll type in $can. And since we're dealing with the alpha this time, I want to type in alpha, asterisk alpha set, and now I'm just going to give it a number. So we'll give it a random number of 23. When I hit enter, it changes that alpha. Now, how did I know that it was alpha or what to write in here? In that if we come back into our alpha function and click on it, and I'll just hit return a couple of times so that we can see. Now, anytime I make a change in this alpha setting, it's going to process this command here where it says alpha set, and it says the variable right there. So this is how you can pick out language for Viz and work within the shell commands window